You can work with investors and make money with investors. The same as on the Win Team Power Tracker project within 60 to 90 days. It's just always the same story. It depends entirely on what you put into it and do you follow the system. So I'm just going to share with you what I have done and the knowledge that I've gained working with investors since 1990. And I believe it will be hugely beneficial to you. Now, in terms of the Win Team itself, um, today, if there are 10 of you who want to participate in a investor club, if you like, I'm not saying we're going to meet every week, but I'm going to do in-person granular training on how I found properties, how to value properties, very, very specific training. I don't know, I can do this 4 weeks a month, and it really depends on how you guys respond and how much action there is, because I really don't want to do a theory class. I want to do a class where you guys really build great businesses out of it. I want to talk about sourcing property in that club, cash out ads, MLS, how to write offers in volume, how to create a deal versus looking for pre-made deals. I'm also, my ambition in this is that there's a group of you who want to invest together and you yourselves become investors in property. If you're interested in these things and what I'm saying, please type in the chat because I want to see, should I invest my time in this and are we going to build something here together? Definitely don't just want to do a theory class, right? So to me, this is a big piece. This class would be a huge success if it develops into a club. We get investor listings. The company makes money, you make money. We also find properties where we find investors for those properties and we become investors ourselves in those properties. We can very easily put together small consortiums of people that you put in a certain amount of money each and we buy those properties together. I did a course that actually hundreds of people used to come to called Andy Buys Houses. There's a lot of detail in there about, again, valuation, sourcing properties, sourcing investors. I'm also going to share that with the club. I don't want to turn the Win Team mornings to only about investors, but for 2 days it is. I also want to talk about the overlapping of your investor and retail business. So several things: sourcing property, valuation, all the tools that I've learned through the years, sourcing investors, finding properties that you as agents on this team can buy yourselves and build wealth yourselves. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, please reply back in the chat. In fact, let me just ask you really fast, what interests you most about what I just said, guys? Can I hear?
Investing for ourselves as well.
Perfect. It's a game changer when that happens. Let me ask you this. How many of you, and this question isn't going where you think it is. Yeah, very good. Let me ask you this question. How many of you would spend $10,000 to learn how to flip a property so that you could do it well? How many of you would do that? It's a very interesting question.
I
I'm not going
would.
to charge. Yeah. Yeah, of course, right? So you have to view that when you, let's say you take 10K and five of you invest 10K, right? You have to understand you can't turn on each other if that project doesn't go well. You work really hard to make it go well, and it may not go exactly the way you wanted. And you may find after the first one, your 10K is gone. But I tell you one thing, you will absolutely learn firsthand how to do this. Now, that's the most negative view that you can take, but you have to be realistic as an investor, right? So what I'm trying to say to you is you got to be willing to invest in doing this. So start by finding properties for other people. But as you do that, you're going to go, darn, I wish I could buy that. Darn, I wish I could buy that. It's very rare that you're going to find a property for an investor and not wish you could buy it yourself, right? So I want you to think about that aspect of what we're doing, that this is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to develop commissionable business, but it's also an opportunity to develop your own portfolio. Okay. All right. So let's go into the basics. Win Team course, working with investors, how to get immediate and long-term results. I'm going to give you 3 very basic action steps, right? Action steps. Here you go. How do I build a system? First piece, it's so obvious, guys. You got to have a list of investors. So I'm going to go into this in detail tomorrow. I've worked on a document here. I think it's open here somewhere. Yeah, this one right here, where I'm going to give you multiple links to investors who buy in Southern California and teach you exactly how to reach out to them. Build your investor list. Today, start an investor email list in your CRM. This evening at 4:30, if 10 of you on here want to attend an in-depth training with me at 4:30 this evening and launch this investor club, you need to say in the feed, Andy, I will be there, or on the Go-Getter channel, or both. Please just communicate with me, okay? Just say, Andy, I want you to teach me. I want to be an investor agent. Say it in the Go-Getter channel, say it in Slack. I want our team to unsilence itself and let's participate together. By the time 4:30 comes, I want each of you to have at least one investor in your CRM. Yep, have one in your CRM, right? And I told you a couple of weeks ago how to do that. I'm going to touch more on it in a minute. Start an investor email list and create a text group for investors immediately. Start right now. And you go, Andy, I don't have an investor. Fine, put yourself on the list. But don't be lazy. I'm going to give you tools how to find those people. Start an investor email list immediately. I suggest you do it in Lofty because FUB is owned by Zillow, but it's entirely up to you. Start an investor email list, create a text group, and build a source agent list. This is very, very important. What you're going to do, you're going to create a separate email and text group for source agents. This is agents who specialize in probate, family law, bankruptcy, REOs, fixers, and so on, right? You're going to make more money dovetailing and building and networking with agents who specialize in probate and family law than trying to be a probate agent yourself. And that's fine. Be a probate agent, all right? But you're going to make more money knowing 10 agents, finding one property, and then selling that property to an investor and selling it again when they've finished the rehab. So develop relationship with source agents. You're going to find these agents, by the way, by researching flips in the MLS. And a lot of this comes back to finding flips in the MLS. I've shared that with you before. If the home was purchased by an investor through the MLS, contact both the listing agent and the buyer's agent and add them to your list. This was a common technique that I used for many, many years. I'd go into the MLS, I go, oh, darn it, look, there's another flip. And then I'd think, oh, overlap. Let me call on that flip. I'll do a power office open house there. That's the overlap of the retail and investor business. But then I would go in and search the address. Say the property is 123 Main Street, beautiful flip. I would search 123 Main Street. I go, wow, it looks like a dog there. And sure enough, that's the property that the investor bought. I would then go down, see the listing agent, call the listing agent, say, hey, John, you sold this property on such and such a date. Do you very often do fixes? Yeah, Andy, I do. Cool. Do you mind if I network with you? Because I have a group of investors and I'd love to buy them. I'd love to be your go-to agent that you call when you're ready to sell. And do you know what? Would love to start a relationship with you. And often listing agents will. Then you go down to the buyer's agent. You look at the buyer's agent on that file and you call that buyer's agent and you find out from the buyer's agent, hey, are you working with investors? Cool. Are you looking for properties? Every single relationship works both ways. It might be that you sell with them. It might be that you buy with them. Don't look at it in a narrow box. So build your investor list, which includes an investor email list, an investor text group, and a source list of agents, right? Number 2, by the way, I got to tell you something here. You might say to me, Andy, why would a listing agent call me when I'm another agent? Why wouldn't they sell to their own investor? Well, most people find this out the hard way, that they have an investor or two investors or three investors, and they'll call the investor and go, wow, I've got a great property. The investor says, I'm really sorry, I just bought two others and cash flow, I can't do it right now. Or another one says, hey, I got two on the market, I haven't sold them, a bit nervous about the market. And they'll give you whatever reason that they're not going to buy. You'll never have enough investors. You'll always have, if you're working hard, you will always have inventory that you need other investors. And listing agents know that. The people who've been in the business know it's always good to network. So number one, build your investor list. Number two, obviously, if you've got investors, you got to have properties. So you find how to find investor properties. Your action step every day is find investors, find properties, find investors, find properties, find investors, find properties, find investors, find properties. You're going to start every day. And how many times have I shared this with you guys? Start in your FUB, start in your data. Look at your tasks, look at your, you're adding on a layer. Alas, and find potential investment properties. Network with agents and investors. I'm going to give you the top investor clubs, the top meetup events. How many of you use Meetup, the app? You need to get Meetup on your phone. There are several investment clubs here in Temecula. I'm going to talk about that also tomorrow. Find investors, find properties. You'd be amazed when you go to these networking events. You get to know people. At first, they keep it really close to their chest, right? And gradually you find out about them and they go, yeah, I've got this one over here, I haven't sold it. Yeah, I've got that one over there, I haven't sold it. And maybe you team up with them, maybe you split commissions with them. Who knows? Just find a way to make a deal. Those of you on this call who are like, well, I won't do anything for less than 2%, just get off this call right now. You're completely wasting your time. Investor mindset people are not narrow-minded people. They're not traditional people. The whole idea of an investor is you're breaking out of tradition. The whole idea of an agent is you're breaking out of tradition, particularly when you look at flip properties. Sometimes you can make $1,000. It was $1,000 more than you had this morning when you got up. If you make $1,000 finding a property, passing it on to somebody else, they slip you $1,000. Guess what? Buys a few cups of coffee, doesn't it? And we actually had an agent like last week turn down a counteroffer, and we don't have the authority to intervene because the selling agent, the seller would only pay them 1.5%, not 2%, right? Actually, excuse me, it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago. They've not put that client back in. Now the client's not responding. So if you're thinking in a narrow box, I'm worth 6% and all that, you're about 50 years out of date. I like to talk with and work with people who have an inventive construct in their brains. And frankly, I have to make money if I'm going to spend this time. You have to make money, and we're going to make money by finding properties. We're going to make money by flipping properties together. We're going to make money because you're going to do splits with me when you make money. It's just the way it is. That's the nature of the business. Welcome to the box. So first of all, build your investor list. Secondly, find properties every single day. Third, by the way, would you like to know how to find properties every single day? I know some of you are thinking, how the hell do I do that? Right? Do you believe that I can help you find properties every day? Let me see in the chat. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Now, the third piece is this: establish yourself as the go-to agent. If you think, and I'm going to be really tough on you on this, okay? If you think you're going to dip into investors for 20 minutes here and there, you're going to have a really, really, really tough road to hoe. Okay. Investors want to see you regularly, daily interacting with them. So you're going to be sending out email opportunities to investors every day. You're going to be sending out text opportunities to investors every day, right? You're going to start your social media content immediately, right? Do something on your social media post. Do posts that are, for example, a day in the life of an investor agent, right? and just talk about what you do. Just do a quick reel on what you do every day. And I'm going to get very granular with you. This is just an overview. In the club, I'm going to show you exactly what to do. But let me be absolutely clear. Nobody won a tennis match hitting a ball for 5 minutes once a week. Nobody won a golf tournament going on the range. Well, you can see, yeah, lots of fat guys with walrus mustaches out on the range hacking away at golf balls because they just can't go for an hour and a half every day and practice the pacing of their putt, practicing their 52, 56, 60 degree, practicing their hands and the drop in the right position. They just want to go out and whack a ball. Nothing wrong with that, but you want to be good at golf, it takes discipline. You want to be good at investors, it takes discipline. It's something you do every day. So to open then, number one, build your investor list. Number two, find investor properties. Number three, establish yourself as the go-to agent. I'm looking at Steve on here. Steve, you have the look of an investor agent, like you just know what you're doing. That's a great look to have, right? You just look like you know what the heck you're doing. If I were you, I'd make one of these backdrops like I've got right here in Zoom, the Win Team one. Make some sort of you don't have to be fancy, just take your logo and somewhere it says investment properties on there, put it in the back, and anytime you Zoom with somebody, they see that in the background. Show that credibility, but you got the look, so go with it. So establish yourself as the go-to agent by emailing, texting daily, starting your social media content daily, post daily at the same time every day, position yourself as the local expert. So that's really nothing deep. It's pretty obvious. And I started this with action steps. Action step one, build your investor list. Action step two, find properties. Action step three, put yourself out there as the go-to agent. What will happen is as you start positioning yourself on social media in the investment world, you'll have other people contact you. The first people that will contact you will be wholesalers, right? Wholesalers will gather around you, and I'll teach you how to identify them. They're not bad people. They'll introduce you to the properties. Usually they'll have no idea how to value properties. So you just say, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let them send in the properties. Ask, can I remarket your property? Some of them will let you remarket your property. And then you can put that out there on your social media. You can put that out there in your text feed. You're constantly looking to gather information and gather property. But once you start to position yourself as the go-to agent, people see you, they will reach out to you as well as you reach out to them. Now, I'm defining here between action steps and support steps. So actions right there. Support steps are these. You got to know what a good deal is. This is a struggle for a lot of agents. So I'm going to go into it right now. What is a good deal? What are the main pricing strategies that investors use? The most common is the 70% rule. And here's the formula. The maximum purchase price is the after rehab value times 70% minus repair costs. That's a 30% margin that covers commissions, carrying costs, closing costs, and profit. Remember, investors have carrying costs. Now, in Andy Buys Houses, I used to show graphs of all the carrying costs and all the costs people don't think about. If you'd like me to share those graphs with you in the feed right now, please say, yes, Andrew, share the graphs. You can interrupt me. When you hear something that interests you, please interject with me, right? I'm going to do this for folks who want to make money, okay? So the 30% margin covers all of those different costs. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Watch. Let's say you see a property and you go, you do all the comps, right? You go, yeah, this thing's going to be worth 500K when I go out. The repairs are 80K, right? By the way, beware those people who go, hey, man, you can turn around. All it needs is 10 grand. I don't remember the last property that I spent 10 grand on, right? 500K is your ARV. Here's your formula. 500K by 70 times 70%. That's 350K, right? 350K minus 80K repairs is 270. A conservative investor is going to want to buy that property at 270. So you see an exit at 500 and you come and pitch that investor because it's 400 and you think it's a good deal, you're going to lose credibility with that investor immediately. He's going to go, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, does he? Now, I'm not saying that in that instance, you wouldn't send it out. Let's say you see a 500K property, guys, and it's at 400K. Would you just pass on it? What would you do with it? Bearing in mind, every day you need to communicate with your investors. What would you do with that property? If it's 400K, you think you could sell it at 500K, but you know there's 80K of repairs. What would you do?
Right
I'd ask for a
And see
lower
if
price.
Thank you very
and
much.
see if the
Now you're
investor
thinking,
likes it. Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah. I don't think I would even go there at first because a lot of investors, Jonathan, are very different to retail, right? They're really not that big on the word like. It's, does it have a financial construct within the context of that neighborhood? Sort of one-off investors, yeah, you know, mom and pop, yeah, well, I don't really like the house, right? But Joseph and Richard actually nailed it. What's important here is that you show that you have the mental acumen that you understand an investor. So if I found a property that was 400 that could be sold at 500, I would text that out. I would say, hey, investors, I've got a property. It's in Whittier, 3 and 2, 1100, built 56, at 400, worth 500 on exit, maybe 5 and a quarter. I estimate 70K repairs. Writing a couple of offers today. Who would like me to write them an offer at 3 and a quarter? Now you send that communication out and I'm on your list, you've got my attention because it shows immediately that you know what you're talking about. Now here's something else that's interesting. What's really curious about this is that if it's 5 and it's 4 and the rule is 70%, which is 3.5 minus repairs, that's the ideal world. Do you know how many retired guys there are out there who've got enough money to buy a property just looking for their next project? And even though it says it's worth 5, they might put it on at 6. You see this all the time, and they do a nice job. Somebody pays them 5.5 and they do the work themselves. And all it costs them is materials and time. The wife can't wait to get them out of the house. They can't wait to get out of the house themselves. They're just out there fixing that property and they make some money. Never in your brain make the box so tight that you don't understand the diversity of investors that's out there. So I just shared with you several things. You've got a rule of thumb here with investors. It's a 70% rule. And of course, I just dropped the page. Hold on. Yeah, the 70% rule. You see a property, you go through one of the searches I've given you. You go, wow, that property's 400. I think it's worth at least 500. I saw one up the street, right? Traditional formula, 500 times 70 minus 80, 270. In this market, you got 1 in 1,000 chance that you're going to get that property at 270. But there are plenty of investors. Let's work that back. If it's 5, right? 500K, and they've got 80 to spend on it. There are plenty of investors who will spend 325, even 350 on that property. And that's why you see less investors right now because the margins are thinner. So work it backwards, take 3.5 and 80, 430. You got commissions out, commissions not in, but commissions out, carry costs and so on, loan costs, 460, 470. You sell it at 5, provided the market doesn't squeeze and squeeze out your margin, you've made yourself 30, 40K. Now, if you're a one-off investor all day long, there are other investors also who will do multiple properties. For example, I worked with an investor. This is the investor that I bought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties for. 312 of them in 2013. I bought a ton of properties for this investor. And he used to say to me, Andy, if I make money on 70% and lose money on 30%, I'm good. Because he needed to keep his crews busy. He needed to keep his staff busy. He was turning over mortgage loans. He was turning over escrows. He got fees for other things. He provided listings for his real estate agents, right? Because he started his own real estate company. So there are a lot of complexities to this that it's going to take you probably a year working with me to learn all those complexities. So I'm giving you a buy box that's a standard rule. You need to understand the standard rule, but once you understand the standard rule, there are plenty of people that will go over this rule because they want to get a project going. Does this make sense? Everybody understand this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any questions on this part? Anybody hear anything today they haven't heard so far?
Explain the 30 and 70 again. They'll make it on 70 but lose it on 30. What exactly
Yeah.
do you mean?
Yeah. So you buy 10 properties and 7 of them you make money on them, 3 of them you don't. Net, you've made money. Where you're screwed, Joe, is if you lose money on the first 3.
Yeah, that's fact.
So most people are more cautious, right, at the beginning. But we've done that too. You know, we've had 10 projects going, lost money on 2 and made money on 8, and it was okay. It still stings when you lose the money. So it's much better. And I hate to say this, but you know, it's like when you go to Vegas, and I don't understand gambling, don't like to gamble personally, but you see people putting chips on 1 number or putting chips on 4 numbers, right, to even the odds. And that's what Wall Street does. Right? That's what's called hedge betting or hedge trading. They build themselves a hedge. So they say, okay, I'm going to buy this stock for it to grow, but I'm also going to cover myself with options in case the stock drops or in case the commodity drops. And so they mitigate their risk. And it's similar type of thinking. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody else with other questions at this point?
I wanted to ask, here in Arizona, the investors that I have, they don't want any properties that are on the MLS at all.
Yeah.
At all, none of them. They're looking for off-market properties. Why, do you know why that is? Why they
Yeah.
won't look at something beat up that's on the MLS versus just
So-
finding something? Mhm.
So I'll definitely answer that question. It's an excellent question. Again, it was many, many years. I sold my first investment property in 1991. But the investor who passed due to COVID, very sad, Peter, he was so successful. When you take your real estate license in California, there's a section on foreclosures and foreclosure law. And he is in 2 of the case studies. His company was in the case studies for real estate law in California. So this guy knew what he was doing, right? And he said the same thing to me. He says, Andrew, I like you. I met him through a friend. And I said, I work mainly on the MLS. He says, you're not going to be able to sell property to me. And he was so big, Denise. He had offices up towards Calabasas, 3-story office building that he owned free and clear next to the freeway. Came to America, by the way, with nothing, right? Israeli man, just a really tough guy, good guy, good guy, good family man. And he had a war room there. And in that war room, at the peak, there were 10 people working there, 10 computers. It looked like a Wall Street trading center. He had people at the courthouse steps in every courthouse in Southern California, and they were working in cash over the phones. Each of them had cash. I mean, this was an operation, right? And he said to me, and hundreds of agents knew him. They all wanted to, you know, get rich selling property to Peter, right? And he looked at me and says, Andy, I like you. And he said, if you work on the MLS, you're never going to do business with me. 1 year later, I sold him 312 properties. Fact. Now I'm going to answer your question. And does anybody remember how I did that? Do you remember how many offers I wrote in that year?
Like 3,500, something like that.
Yeah. Actually wrote 4,267 offers in that year. So he grew to trust me. And I said, Peter, I believe you. Give me the chance that you can believe me. Would you give me proof of funds? Would you let me write offers for you? and then you'll sign off or not on them if you want to buy the property. He says, okay, here's a guy in my company. He's responsible. You'll write the offers. I'll send you proof of funds. And if you get something I want to buy, I'll tell him to buy it. Well, he made 312 buy decisions that year. Now, I wrote 4,200, let's just call it 4,000, Joe. I wrote over 4,000 offers. I had 3 people working for me part-time because we bunched these offers, right? Between 7 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And after I'd done it for 3 months, people started calling me because we wrote offers, Denise, and people were, they were offended, all those emotional things people go through. And I didn't care they were offended, right? It's just this business. But after 3 or 4 months, that offended person fell out of escrow. They needed to sell right away. They called back and go, look, you offered back then, it was less money, right? You offered 2.25. Can you do 2.5? They'll go into escrow today. And we bought the property. So what I'm trying to share with you is this. If they're really, okay, when you say that to me, if they're really that adamant, I will tell you they're probably not a very big investor. They're probably not a very serious investor. It's probably, Bob the retiree who's been to a seminar and he's got a very small buy box. Doesn't mean you reject them, but there's plenty out there who will say this. You find me a deal, I'll buy it. I don't care if you buy it from the Pope. I don't care if you buy it from a rock star. I don't care if you buy it off a guy in a shopping cart. I don't care where you get it. If it's a deal, I'll buy it. Those are the people you're looking for. Now, there is a practical, we're getting more granular here. There is a practical aspect to it. And this is where it's super helpful if you can have your own LLC or your own proof of funds and write your own offers. And I want you to hear this, guys. So if 5 or 6 of you get together and you put a certain amount of money in an account and you go to Anchor Home Loans and you're able to get your own credit line or your own hard money letter. There's lots of people. I think I see Oscar on here. Oscar will be able to get you a hard money letter, right? Now you actually write the offer yourself or a signee. Now you can start writing offers every day and one of them bites. You can say, hey, you know what? Let's say Steve's the listing agent. Steve, at that price, it doesn't work for me, but I do have John, who I know very well. And see, there's Oscar. Reach out to Oscar. He'll get you a hard money letter. But it works for a friend. And then suddenly you've used your ability to write offers to identify a property. And now you're speaking to the listing agent. You flip it over to somebody else and they'll probably write a new offer. Now I'm going very granular on you, but I've done this a lot. Is this making sense? Are you guys learning stuff as we go here? Yes.
So is that basically wholesaling? You're not buying it though. The
I did,
wholesaler
mate.
buys it, right?
I was always uncomfortable with wholesaling. I know there's people who do it. I was uncomfortable with it. A lot of states it's now unlawful, but there are plenty of people who absolutely love to wholesale. So if you want to do that, I'm by no means saying don't do it, right? Hold on one second. I just need to say goodbye to my son. You good, buddy? Love you a lot. So you're going to go with your mom at 2:30? No, right after school, right? Yeah. Okay. You're tired this morning, huh? Okay, love you, buddy. See ya. So,
Hey,
Joe,
Andrew,
you're gonna.
I got a
Yes,
question,
Yep.
just real
Sure.
quick. Because of where we're at in the OC and LA area, when I find a deal, and I'm not trying to but when I find a deal, like typically when I reach out, they're like, we got offers
Yeah.
at asking or even like
Yeah.
above
Yeah.
cash, and I'm
Yeah.
like, they're not making anything off of that, and it's
Yeah.
trashed. I'm just lost. Why would they do that?
I'll give you one word. Next. I don't even think those thoughts you're
Right.
thinking. And you need to hear what I'm saying, the
Okay.
difference in your brain and my brain. I literally don't allow space in my brain to think the thought you just thought. I just go next. Back in, find another one. because you know, you're never going to make
Right.
everybody logical. You're never going to make everybody sensible. You're never going to make everybody work. And to Richard's point, they're not investors. But to somebody else's point, they sold the property. So who am I to comment on that? I'm not here to comment on people. I'm here to make money. So if you spend more than 30 seconds thinking about that, whatever an hour is, 60 minutes, 30 seconds, half of 60 minutes, that's how much that thought cost you. And when you start looking, I'm not just speaking at you, Jonathan, but when you start looking at that every minute, let's say, how many of you think you're worth $200 an hour? Right? Let's make it easy. How many of you think you're worth $180 an hour? That's 60 minutes, right? That's $3 a minute. Right? Every time you spend 1 minute thinking a negative
Yeah.
thought, it costs you $3, $3, $3, $3.
I definitely don't think negative, and I don't think for very long on it, but I'm trying to
Then I'll give
figure,
you a piece of
you
advice.
know,
I'm not going to debate it with you. Don't think at all. It's like next. It's that fast. Next. It's that next. Next. It's that fast. Cut it off next. Cut it off next. And that's how I did 4,000 offers. People say, how the hell did you do it? Well, you're hearing how a successful investor agent thinks. It's like that. 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 So you're looking
right.
for properties to make offers on. You're going to write offers on properties. Some will, some won't. So next. Some will, some won't. So next. It's that simple. And I'm going to be really brutal with you guys. I want to share with you how I do this, and then you choose if you want to do it or not, right? So 70% rule, that's how it works. The next thing, of course, is what's called the comparative market analysis. Now, like Andrew, I've heard about a CMA. Obviously, you're going to analyze recent comparable sales, size, age. Yeah, Gabriella, because I'm going to go into some detail here that you don't know. Question, I got Gabriella, hit me.
Hi, Andrew. Good morning. So, did you ever assign properties to investors from the MLS? Something that was listed from another agent, you put it under contract yourself and then assign it to an investor?
Gabriella, I'll tell you honestly, if it's been done, I've done it.
Okay. And are you going to teach us that? How to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
When you know, for the people who come to the club, I'm going to actually teach you how to do everything that I know. And look, am I the best in the business at it? Are the people who made more money doing it? Yeah, I'm a bit of an intellectual, and I can definitely help you. And many of you are going to do it better than me. But you
Yes.
will learn from me a very cut and dried attitude. I just don't like to debate stuff. It's like, let's just get this frickin' done. So you bring
Yes,
me a scenario, sweetheart, and I will help you, right?
I will.
And
Thank
if
you.
it's a dumb scenario, don't be offended. I'll say, that's dumb. Don't do it, right?
Got it.
So that is, I'm not saying you're dumb, right?
No,
But
no, no.
sometimes people just do dumb things, right? So I want you to hear it harsh, and then you won't waste the time again debating it with yourself, right? So comparative market analysis. Obviously, you're going to analyze the recent comparable sales, size, age, condition, location. We all understand that. Be conservative in your ARV estimates, especially when the market's shifting. People are uncertain about the market right now, so investors are starting to build in margin. I know it's a little bit different in Orange County. Definitely parts of LA County, there's an escalation of inventory. And that's why I'm doing this investor piece right now, because those of you who learn fast will be able to take advantage of this market. And frankly, you know, Jonathan, you asked me a question. I think your personality is good for this. If you can control your thinking, your personality is good for this because you're quite stoic. And, you know, it's just like, hey, I've got this. Do you want it? Okay, great. Thanks. I'll call you tomorrow. Hey, I've got this. Do you want it? Okay, thanks. Got it tomorrow. If a guy said no, I'm off the phone. 15 seconds, 20 seconds, because I know I'm going to call them back the next day, right? You rarely sell an
Oh, no
investment
doubt.
property. Yeah, you rarely sell an investment property. What do I mean by that? Does anybody know what I mean?
Okay. Right, right. Yeah. I'm not trying
Go
to
ahead.
give them,
Go ahead.
right. Like you said, you're not trying to like go to their feelings or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
you know, do you see the numbers or not?
That's it.
And
But
I mean, I guess what I want to add on to it is if you list it I think you have like an 80 to 90% chance of getting your investors to buy it over here, but I do want to learn how to do it, like you said, off the MLS stuff that's on market.
Now, if you look at the top of what I said up here, find investor properties and communicate daily, you're going to learn from me ways to do it on the MLS and off
Yeah.
the MLS. I just gave it to you all right here. But I will tell you, by far, by far, the highest volume resource for investment properties is the MLS. And by the way, also now you're getting alternatives to MLS, like Compass and their dispute with Zillow and all of that, right? Now you're going to find people hiding properties and pocket listing properties. It's going to become more important than it has since the 60s, right? Because there's going to be pocket listings. There's going to be many, many agents who've got pocket listings. Oh, it's just Compass. I had a couple of Compass agents call me last week. Andy, I've got one. We're not allowed to put it on the MLS for a couple of weeks or whatever their pitch was, right? Are you interested in this property? So getting agents to know you is absolutely crucial. And that's why I said this piece up here, establish yourself as the go-to agent. They have to see you. You want to tag every agent under the planet. Just tag agents, tag agents, tag agents, tag agents, tag agents. I buy investment properties. I buy investment properties. I have investors I work for. I buy investment properties. Check out this property. Check out that property. Check out this technique. Check out that technique. Day after day after day after day. MLS search, MLS search. And I will tell you flat out, when people see you know how to manipulate the MLS, show yourself writing offers. Take a picture of somebody. Take a video of somebody writing offers. Hey, guys, we just wrote 15 offers today, right? We're finding deals. We're finding deals. We wrote 15 offers today. That could be your tag. 15 offers a day, Gabriella, right? And just, photograph somebody. I don't care, right? 15 offers a day, 15 offers a day, 15 offers a day, 15 offers a day, 15 offers a day. Eventually, somebody's going to come to you and go, hey, can you write an offer on my property? 15 offers a day, 15 offers a day, 20 offers a day, 5 offers a day, 4 offers a day. Every day they see that. Boom, 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 boom. And people are going to come to you. They'll attract to you. I attracted people to me like flies because they knew I was working every day. So we actually had times where we would not answer the phone during the day because we had to get the offers out. What's the point in taking on a new possible property if you can't write offers on the ones you got already? Okay. So you can tell I get excited about this, guys. So in your comparative market analysis, there's a lot of skill in this, a lot of skill. You know that for years I've used a valuation technique on AIV with a high-low median idea. It's that whole concept I have on a listing property. Hey, Mr. Property Seller, every neighborhood has 3 price points, just like a house. A house has a foundation, it has the airspace, it has the roof. Every neighborhood has a foundation, it has the airspace, it has the roof. The foundation is the property that sold at a discount because it was a probate or it was trashed or whatever. That's the bottom value in the neighborhood. The middle is where most of the houses are. The top is the one that was super, super upgraded, right? Where do you fit? Then you get the seller to understand where they fit in between, and you list the property realistically, right? Maybe a little bit too high at the beginning, but you get the listing, and now they remember that conversation. It's the same when you work with investors. You want to look at a neighborhood, and this is absolutely crucial. Look at that neighborhood over the last 6 months. What was the lowest price sale? What was the highest price sale? What was the middle price sale? Do not ever, guys, go to an investor and say, look, this house is 800,000. It could be $1.4 million. The first thing that investor is going to do is go, yeah, logically, it looks like that. The square footage indicates that. The lot size indicates that, but nothing sold over $1.25 million in the last 6 months. And they'll just say, okay, thanks, bye. Now, because they're working with money, not with emotion, they won't explain to you why they won't buy it. They'll just get you off the phone, right? Because they know you haven't learned what they've learned, therefore you're not helping them. They won't totally reject you because one day, even in your lack of knowledge, you might bring them a good deal. So most investors won't just say, never call me again. If they say never call me again, they're not an investor, they're stupid, right? So when you present a property to an investor, Make sure that you know what is the lowest in the neighborhood, what's the highest in the neighborhood, what's the average in the middle, right? There's more I think that I can say on that.
I have a question on you.
Something else on CMA, watch this. It depends if the market's going up or going down. If the market's going up, what's the most important aspect of the CMA? Is it the active, pending, coming soon, or sold if the market's going up?
Active.
What do you guys think? I'm hearing you. I'm not being rude. If the market's going up, what's the most important comp the investor looks at?
Coming
Coming
soon.
soon.
Closed.
Pending.
It's
So
closed. It's closed. It's where did the last one close, right? Because you know, he will know that neighborhood, how much it's going up. Is it 1% a month, 2% a month, 3% a month, whatever, right? And he'll see what's closed and he'll add on in his mind what he's an investor. So he's speculating. He's speculating where it's going. He just wants to see what's closed because guess what? That's what they're going to base the ARV on when he gets his hard money loan. You see? They don't, even when the market's going up, hard money lenders don't base on speculative value. They base on what's sold, right? So they're not going to run your gamble. They're lending money. They're not gamblers. They're lending money. Now, when the market's going down, what's the most important comp?
Coming soon.
No, I'd say I guess it's closed still.
the same thing.
Exactly.
It's actually the reverse. It's active.
Oh,
And
it's
here's
active.
why. Here's why. Because when the market's going down, you can look at closed comps and say to a bank or a hard money lender, here's the closed comps. It's worth X. Everything's closed at 500. It's worth X. And that appraiser, and sometimes it's just an in-house satellite appraiser or an in-house with a runner doing a drive-by appraiser. That in-house appraiser who's moving money fast is going to say, yeah, the last 3 sold at 500, but there's 4 that are active at 470. Because when the market's going down, the closed comp is not as important as the active comp to an investor or to a bank lending to an investor. So remember that. If you go, hey, you could easily get $1.4 million for this property based on the house up the street, but there's 2 for sale at $1.2 million that have been on the market 40 days. You're not going to get $1.4 million, are you? So very important that you understand that when you talk to an investor. Do not present a property to an investor and say you can get 700,000. Nothing in the neighborhood is sold at 700,000. The last, period. Nothing sold at 700,000, and there's 3 active properties at 675. Right? So right now, the market is tentative. People aren't sure. Some say the interest rates are going to drop, the market's going to go crazy, and prices are going to go up. Others are saying, yeah, the interest rates aren't dropping enough. The economy's pinched. There's a lot of political unrest. We think people are unstable. There's government layoffs, all the garbage. So therefore, we want to price in a 5% decline. We want to price in a 6% decline. So it depends on the investor's attitude. But people are tentative right now. And so I'm telling you, they're looking at active. You go out to Winchester, right off the Winchester Road right now. There used to be maybe 10 properties under 700,000. If you look back last year, 10, maybe 15. Now there's 80. Right? So you go in and try and convince somebody they're going to pop something right away, they're going to think you're crazy. So you got to price that in. How are those 80 properties going to sell? They're going to sell by people reducing their prices. And when they reduce their prices, now you've established a new market norm. Now you've established new ARV and new CMA analysis. Right, I'm going to hit you with one more here.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
I just want to chime in.
Interrupt me. I love it when you guys interrupt. Do it.
It's amazing what you're saying, because from a lender perspective, when the properties or maybe, I mean, for the ones that have been in the market a long time, we'll notice that when the market is declining, appraisers will actually notate on the appraisal reports that properties we're in a decline market. So automatically, from a lender's perspective, on conventional loans, we do take a reduction in LTV by 5%. And then also on FHA, it's a reduction of 1.5%. So it's amazing that you're saying that because it correlates that with us on our side on the lending.
And that's great input. And so, guys, did you just see an overlap right now between the investor and retail business? How many of you saw the overlap?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you
Yeah.
get good at the investor business, it helps your retail business. And here's a, frankly, one of the best lenders I've met in a long time, financial friend. And that's an overlap. So when you're putting property into escrow with us, with our Zillow leads, retail property sales, just watch what are the actives and watch that. Try and anticipate that appraisal. And again, that's the whole, I don't want to get into this training right now, but that's a whole preemptive piece that I do. That I'm with a buyer and I'll say, look, we're going to get the house appraised. Now, it's possible, I know you didn't like the house up the street that was 20 grand less, but it's possible that they dip the price. And the way I've presented this for years, and please hear me on this, the way I presented this for years was I would say to people, look, banks are interested in one thing and one thing only, and that's money. And however much the loan officer smiles at you or however much the brochures look nice, bankers are interested in money. And they're going to protect one thing, and it's not you. They're going to protect themselves. And that's why there's an appraisal. An appraisal is there to make sure that if the bank is lending at 95% of value, that they do have a 5% margin. And so what banks do when the market's declining is they deliberately and systemically undervalue properties because they're pricing in equity in case they have to repossess that property. So I point out to my clients, it's not that the seller's a bad guy. It's banks are looking out for themselves. And if we have to wiggle a bit with the seller in escrow, you might need to chip in a little bit. They might need to chip in a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you get it for less, it's a good thing, right? Oh, yeah, that's cool. Okay, be ready for that. Now, when the appraisal comes in low, it's not like, oh, the appraisal come in low. Okay, it wasn't God's will. And you go into that whole piece. It's like, oh, yeah, you told us about this. How do we work it out, Andrew? And by the way, when you have an appraisal come in low, if you're on our team, I got to say, if you're a referral agent, it's your own personal business. We don't make any money. You've chosen not to be on the team. I can't help you. But if you're on the team and we're sharing in revenue together, then call me and I will help you with that. I'll help you exactly with how to deal with that appraisal. So thank you for your input there, Oscar. One other way that many mom and pop investors use is price per square foot. And I've heard price per square foot arguments from people for, gosh, so many years, from investors, from agents calling me, hey, Andy, this house sold. It was 1,200 square feet. It sold for 500. There's one up the street that's 2,400 square feet. It's worth $1 million based on the price per square foot. Okay, so let's talk about this. This price per square foot is often misused by new investors and new agents. Never use dollars per square foot in isolation to justify a flip, because the investor will immediately know that you're a novice, right? So listen carefully to what I say. Did I say never use price per square foot? Did I say that?
No.
No, I said never use price per square foot in isolation to justify a flip. Obviously, you have to consider neighborhood pricing range. I just explained that to you: highest, lowest, median, right? So if you got a 1,200 square foot home and it's 500, nothing in the neighborhood is sold over 750, and you got a 2,400 square foot home, is that home worth $1 million? If a 1,200 square foot home sold for 500, right? And you have a 2,400 square foot home, is that home worth $1 million price per square foot? Yes. Well, price per square foot, yes.
Yes,
I'm gonna ask the
mathematically it
second
is.
question. Exactly. Is it actually worth $1 million?
No.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Right, because you have to then overlay what's the high, low, and median in that. And wholesalers, by the way, this is the most typical mistake they make. The most typical mistake, right? Well, they'll go, hey, Andy, I got this great property. It's 1,200 square feet. The last one sold at 650. This is only 400. You're going to make so much money. And I go in, I find that 650 home was on an acre. The one they're selling to me is on a 4,600 square foot lot. So this happens a lot in neighborhoods in LA, not an acre, but neighborhoods in LA, we have split lots. Leslie, you're probably familiar with this. A bunch of you are familiar. Stephen, you're familiar with this. And you'll find, like in Long Beach, this happens. I could name a number of cities. And you find the split lots. You've got like a 3,800 square foot lot instead of a 7,600. And years ago, the city allowed, you know, the reconfiguration of the lot, blah, 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 blah. And you're not going to sell that 3,800 square foot lot home for the same as a 7,600 square foot lot. Or you'll find that one of the ones that sold was in the interior of a tract, and the one that's for sale is on the exterior, and there's a 6-lane road outside. It's not going to sell for the same one as on the interior. One had a view, the other didn't. One had a pool, the other didn't. One was rehab, the other didn't. One, you know, I could just go on all day long. So the price per square foot, by the way, I just added something in there. Did you hear what I said? What's more valuable? A house in the middle of the track, on the outside of the track?
In the middle of the track.
Right. Less crime, less noise, more stability. You tend to find that the rental properties are usually on the outside of the track. Even in new tracks, you find very often that investors get a deal from the new home builder when they can't sell that home on the outside that overlooks the freeway. And you find an investor will buy it. And then the investor, of course, when they turn around and sell it 2 years later, they'll price it according to one that's in the middle, it's nice and quiet, that's all been upgraded, and theirs has got dirty walls because of the renters, right? So the properties on the outside of the track usually are not as worth as much as the ones on the inside. So yes, you can price per square foot and get an idea. And in fact, one of the searches that I teach you is go to, let's say you're working Norwalk and Whittier and Pico Rivera. Let's say you're working those 3 areas. You have that preset as a search on your MLS you're looking through, and you sort it by dollars per square foot, and you find the lowest price per square foot. That's a way of identifying properties. It's not the way of finally identifying the value of the property, because you got to balance in all these others. What are the property features? What's the lot position? What's the desirability? What's the property style? What's neighborhood pricing range? So something else on this valuation piece, something else on this valuation piece is, take, for example, in our type of area. So LA has a ton of single-story homes, a ton. Why? Because a huge mass of LA and a mass of Orange County was built in the late 50s, 60s, right? To late 60s, a little bit early 70s. So then it was very popular to build what we call potter's houses. There were single-story homes. People wanted to get in their home, and you had a lot of single-story homes. Well, once people had those homes, they had children, didn't they? And when they had children, what did children like to do? They like to do stuff that their parents didn't do. So children would turn around and go, oh, I don't want to buy that house. It looks like my mom's house. It looks like my dad's house. So then you had this emergence in the 80s that we moved away from single-story homes into 2-story homes. So you take a community like Temecula or Murrieta or Paris or Moreno Valley and so on. The massive growth started in the 80s, where the kids started to say, look, I want a 2-story home. I don't want a home that looks like my parents. It looks so old. And so tracts built 75% 2-story homes, 25% single-story homes. The net result of that is, if you're doing a flip in a town like Murrieta or Temecula or another bedroom community that started in the 80s, that you'll see a single-story home that sold at $280 a foot, but then you see a 2-story home and you go, wow, it's only 180 a foot, right? I've got $100 a foot equity. No, you don't, because there's less single-story homes in these bedroom communities. Therefore, they sell sometimes for 30% more per square foot. So make sure you don't price out by dollar per square foot a single story the same as a 2-story. In LA, it's a little bit of a different gig because the entire neighborhood is single story and masses of neighborhoods. So it doesn't have such a great significance. More significance in LA is the postcode, is the school district. You cross one side of the street to the other, good school, bad school, right? The actual address of the property in LA, it's super important. You go into the tax record and see on the tax record, is it actually Stanton or is it Garden Grove? Is it Westminster? Is it Garden Grove? Is it Santa Ana? Is it, I know I'm talking about Orange County now. Which city is it actually, right? Is it Norwalk? Is it Pico Rivera? And just going across a road. So the zip code, the city name on the tax record record, not what the agent put in the MLS, what the city on the tax record, the size of the lot, the proximity to noise, right? All of those factors are very, very important in LA.
Zoning too.
In housing tract bedroom communities, the lots all tend to be the same size. So I'm dumping a ton of knowledge on you. That's the price per square foot thinking. All right, I've been talking for an hour. Questions?
I was just
Isn't-
gonna say zoning is important too, because there are certain areas where you can build a duplex.
So definitely on your zoning. Now here's some things with zoning. So this is actually part of the course later on, but on zoning, super important. Angelica's absolutely right. I didn't come across the zoning very often because I focused on SFRs, right? But once you get into LA, you do have places that are R2. And if there are R2, first of all, the investor, the hard money investor, is going to see it differently. Secondly, the exit is going to see it differently. So what I would do is I would call Oscar and say, look, Oscar, I'm thinking of buying a flip on 123 Olive Street, and it's R2. What kind of loan can we do on exit? Very important. So you then know if there's less people who can qualify for that loan, there's less people who are going to buy. Therefore, that's going to restrict your market. Therefore, you might not get the price. Or conversely, if it's R2 and it's only got one unit on it, now you've got a different investment prospect. It could be an ADU. What you really add on ADU, and there's investors who do that. They look for, you don't even need R2 for ADU now, but you get my point. Somebody might want to add on another unit. That's going to be a buy and hold investor because now they can build it for less than they can rent it for when you look at the debt service on building compared to the revenue on renting it. So, I mean, you just see I went down a whole rabbit hole here. But I would say the biggest piece on zoning is check your zoning when you tap on the property record. Check the zoning and make sure it isn't commercial, because then you've really got a problem, right? Every now and again, it's an opportunity. More often than not, it's a problem. So like we did properties on the arterial roads into Hemet, the arterial roads into San Jacinto, and you got residential, C1, residential, C1, residential, C1. And if it's C1, it's got a nice house on it, you're screwed. It's just a real problem. So check the zoning. What else, guys? Other input?
Hey, Andrew, I know you touched on commercial here real quick. So on the lending aspect, if it's zoned commercial, the lender will ask for a rebuild letter from the city. If the city is not willing to provide a rebuild letter, then they will not finance the property. And that's key because if, let's say, for instance, if you are pitching a property to investor, they purchase it, and the city is not willing to provide a rebuild letter in the event that the property goes up in flames, then the investor's probably going to be stuck with that particular property.
Who just learned something from Oscar? It's excellent. Excellent. Other questions, other comments? All right, so let me ask you this, guys. You're very quiet. Was this helpful to you? Do you want part 2 tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, yes.
You like the
Yeah.
idea of putting
Yes.
together an
Yes, please.
investment? Yeah, you like the idea of an investment club where we learn all these things together and actually maybe start to buy and sell properties and work with investors. Who's into the investment club idea? If yes,
Yes.
just jump in
Yes.
the feed right now and say yes, would you? Because I want to see who's on this. Oh, actually, a lot of you. Wow. Okay, cool. All right. All right, good. That's plenty. All right, so 4:30 today, I'm going to be at the office. I have a meeting actually with an investor of mine at 2:30 at Wells Fargo Bank. I'll be back by 4:30. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see it, Michelle. Yeah. So I'll be there in the office. And we're just gonna dig down. Yeah. Suffice it to say, you can tell I got a ton of stuff to share with you. And what I'd like to see is this mushroom where we will find, excuse me, we will find off-market properties. Mirka actually is Mirka on this? She's actually very good at this. I don't see if Mirka, you on it, honey? If just so, just yell out and say yes, would you? Usually she's on this. Oh, maybe she didn't make it this morning. Okay. Mirka's really good at finding off-market properties. So we'll find off market properties. We'll be able to put together investment consortiums where we pool in money together. You'll learn from me all the different techniques. We have a lot of fun doing this, and it will roll over to the retail business. All right. 4:30 today, done deal. I will see you at the office. Guys, power it out this month. If you've not done your power tracker, for God's sake, get it into Ariana, okay? Just fill it out for last week. Even if it goes on, Andrew, I screwed up. I did squat, right? Turn in your power tracker, right? And please, this week, fill out your power tracker, what you're doing. I want to know who's working, who's on it, right? Fill out your power tracker, pass it in to Ariana. By the end of the year, we're going to break away in January. We're going to do the Navy SEALs group. At the end of the week, we're going to do the general group Monday, Tuesday. But even the general group, you're going to be required to turn in your power tracker. I'm going to drop off right now and leave you with Ariana. Ariana, post again the members.thewinteam.net. Guys, I'd like to see you jumping on to members.thewinteam.net. Let's start an investor discussion. I do not want to put this on open Slack because we've got like 400 people on open Slack. I want to keep this conversation private in members.thewinteam. So jump into members.thewinteam. I think Ariana's posting it right now. Yes. Jump into members.thewinteam and discuss. We're going to be discussing investment properties in that forum, right? So just jump into the forum, right? And if you enjoyed today, please go in the forum. I look at that, right? And I'm just flat going to tell you this next year, I ain't going to do stuff that nobody participates in. So you want me to keep going? Participate. Love you. Got to go to work. See y'all.